이것이 하늘의 검!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2016 League of Legends KeSPA Cup. We're coming into our second best-of-3 series here between Kongdoo Monster and Challengers Korea, facing off against the KEG first-place representatives from Seoul City.
Yeah, and this matchup's going to be super interesting because KEG Seoul is a lineup made up of mostly solo queue stars with a pretty unique approach to the game in terms of champion picks, and they have a lot that they want to prove in KeSPA Cup, and if they're going to do that, it starts here tonight.
It certainly does, and while it may seem like they are underdogs coming from the Korean National Amateur Tournament, they are still very, very highly ranked in solo queues, several in the top 50 of the solo queue ladder here in Korea. And while, yes, a lot of players have been away for Worlds, it doesn't include any of the players playing here tonight. Much like the roster here of Kongdoo Monster, they did switch out Hippo for Roach and Crush for Punch, so you can see some very aggressive player names there. Edge, Soul, and Guger there to round out their lineup.
Yep, and I think that tonight's matchup, one of the things I'm really looking forward to is going to be the mid lane component, because Edge is basically just a standard mid lane player, whereas Bo is, his desires are definitely a little unconventional.
Looks like we are going to have a short interview with the players before the match. So there you can see Hoyt for KEG Seoul asking, what are you talking about before the match is going on? And he says that, you know, if we play just like we did in solo queue, I think we'll have a chance. Now to follow that up, he says, you know, we're all pretty highly ranked in solo queue, but we're really gritting our teeth right now because the team game is going to be really different coming into this tournament. And to top it off, he says, saying that he hopes that they'll try to give a really good match today. Now we have an interview with our new coach for Kongdoo Monster. This is Changmin Chul, otherwise known as MC. Your players are coming in on a high right now after winning the promotion match from Challengers Korea and Challengers Korea to make it into LCK. Coach MC says, I feel like my players are confident, although I was somewhat nervous when I realized when we were going against an amateur team, because there's that added pressure of dishonor if a pro team loses to an amateur team. So he's really prepared to give a perfect performance tonight. So that's it for our interview. Let's bring it over to our caster area. You guys will get to see a little bit more of us. We can go ahead and introduce this game to you.
여러분 안녕하십니까? 2016 리그 오브 레전드 캐스파 컵으로 인사드리겠습니다. 저는 진행을 맡은 이대현입니다. 반갑습니다.
So we swapped out our caster, so we're going to be mixing things up a little bit this season. So we're going to be trying a few new things. Of course, that'll be for Korean. Now it's time for us to introduce ourselves.
LS와 라피드입니다. 박수 감사드리고요. 자, 이번에 한국 중계진들 한번 다시 한번 소개해드리도록 하겠습니다. 캡틴 잭 앤 헬리오스입니다.
All right, just introducing our casters to you guys. That was us previously. I guess not doing our mics, but it's going to be Captain Jack and Helios, of course, on the mics for the Korean broadcast. That's over at Twitch TV/KeSPA Cup here over at KeSPA. So if you guys want to watch the Korean broadcast, you can check out Helios and Captain Jack. So Captain Jack is actually fangirling a little bit about our new Korean caster representative. Helios kind of in the same respect, just giving a lot of
제 이름은 아시죠?
big fan for caster Hugh Bae-hyun. He's a StarCraft caster here at SPO TV, so both Captain Jack and Helios very excited to be casting with him tonight.
이거 좀 다른데?
네. 그럼 다른 느낌은 저희가 앞으로 이제 어떤 식으로 준비를 하겠다 이런 살짝 어떤 축합도 있잖아요. 저희 조합만이 여러분들에게 보여드릴 수 있는 그런 점들.
좀 더
네.
놓고 하면 재밌지 않을까요?
좀 마음을 내려놓고 약간 좀 이렇게 다가가는 이런 해설을
형이 더 재밌는 것 같아요.
Just getting a little bit of insight into what Captain Jack and Helios are talking about here. Looks like they are just trading compliments back and forth between the casters. Looks like we are about ready to get into our game here, our second best of 3 between the KEG team from Seoul facing off against the Challengers Korea promoted team to LCK. This is Kongdu Monster. We are into Champion Select picks and bans. Coming up on your screen right now, KEG Seoul banning out Karma right off the bat.
Yeah, so the Karma ban taken away from Kongdu Monsters. And one of the things I'm excited is the MC, if you guys don't know from StarCraft 2, he was one of the very innovative Protoss players. And he was known for a lot of cheese and unorthodox plays and high aggression. So I'm curious if he can actually find a way to sculpt that into the pick and ban.
He can be like, I don't know. I remember back in the day, Woong used to bring a lot of unorthodoxy from his pro play when he was transitioned over to a coaching role. Of course, MC making the same transition. Let's talk about the bans that we're seeing coming out on our screen. There's that Karthus ban. All right, so giving some respect over to Bo.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, Bo holds extremely high win rates with Karthus in solo queue, and he is very high up there on the ladder. So that is just a target ban used at him, and rightfully so, because you don't want to know how can he control that in a 5v5 setting when his entire team is coordinated.
Right, so taking that power pick away, 2 other power picks taken away, Poppy and Nidalee, extremely top-tier champions in their own right. The final ban coming in here, and that's Syndra, once again a very powerful mid-lane champion. We already got to see that showcase today.
So let's see if KEG Seoul will actually pick up the Ryze. That is still on the board, and we do know that Khan really likes his top lane Ryze.
He does, and this is not necessarily a super standard top laner, but interested to see what they will first pick. Now that's an Olaf hovered over. We've seen that first picked and locked in earlier today, and it looks like a repeat of that performance of our first game of the day. Going back with the first lock in there for KEG Seoul.
Yep, and Olaf doesn't necessarily give away too much, although generally it does tend to tunnel you into the aggressive, dive-oriented style. But with Karma being gone, that is one of his aids removed from the table. And Kongdu Monsters highlighting right now Twisted Fate and Lee Sin, but swap it over to Echo and Jin.
Okay, all right. Well, it looks like those will most likely be locked in there. Not really prioritizing any super highly contested pick. What's left open here that you think maybe went a little bit unnoticed through our first few picks?
Most notably, it's Ryze, just because of Khan's affinity for it basically in the top lane. So it's a little suspect not to see it banned away or picked, because he is still a good mid lane champion. One of the other things to note is that Kongdu Monsters jungler has a pretty big liking for only physical damage champions, Punch. So we can probably expect that with Olaf taken away by KEG Seoul that he might respond just with the Lee Sin. So it's a little bit curious as to why it hasn't already just been selected to sort of feel out information from KEG Seoul.
Right, I think the last few games we got to see from Punch, at least in Challengers promotion tournament, were pretty much all like Rek'Sai, he did play some Elise in Challengers, but either way, still waiting on that pick. The lock-ins here, it's going to be a Cassiopeia and Miss Fortune picked by Bo, most likely for Hoyt. Now, we were checking out Hoyt a little bit earlier on, as he is very highly ranked in solo queue, but didn't see that many Miss Fortune games, so it'll be interesting to see that showcased here, especially when you don't know what support matchup you're playing that into.
Yep, Miss Fortune and Zyra were both missing from his solo queue match history, and we don't know if this is actually going to be an AD carry Miss Fortune or if it will be a support MF, and this is just being used preemptively to prevent Zyra.
We live in a world where Miss Fortune is a flex pick, LS,
Yep.
and it's more likely that it will be picked support than AD carry, so Strange times we live, of course, across the world. Now the next two lock-ins coming in here for Kongdu Monster. Oriana and Elise looking to get locked in, and they will be. So a standard mid laner, and of course, very strong jungler for Punch.
And so basically, Kongdu Monster's team composition is relatively standard all across the board. Lots of synergy for Oriana inside of that Elise and that Echo pick. And it doesn't currently look like that outside of Olaf, they're going to have a lot of reliable ways to get onto Soul in the backline on that Jhin.
Now, I like to see the hover there for Fiora. It was hovered momentarily. It looks like they might think about changing. It's been a while since we've seen Fiora out on Summoner's Rift, but they're certainly not backing off of it just yet, and it looks like it's probably going to be locked in. And there it is, the Fiora lock-in against this top lane Echo. Of course, the Bard there as well.
Yep, so it's going to be Bard, Miss Fortune, and that's going to be a little bit peculiar because generally Miss Fortune tends to build Black Cleaver, but when you have an Olaf and a Fiora, you're dealing true damage a lot, so it's not like there's a lot of benefit there. And with that Fiora, also it's likely that the enemy team will build a lot of armor and hit points. And just looking at Kongdu Monster's team composition, it's very standard and generic, whereas KG Souls is hyper aggressive and they need to make stuff happen in the mid game.
I mean, that did play into what they were talking about earlier on, about if they play it just like solo queue, maybe that'll work out. So they're just picking, very strong, maybe individual team composition, or a champion, because they did say that the team play was where they were a little bit worried about.
Yep. And they finally round out the pick with Alistar, and that's a little bit surprising to me given the amount of true damage that is coming out of KG Soul, being able to shred through his ultimate. In addition to that, that's not a very reliable way of stopping Olaf from getting onto Jhin. So I feel like maybe Braum actually would have been a little bit better here, but nonetheless, it is just a very cookie-cutter team composition.
Okay, well, we get to see a lot of individual prowess from KEG Soul playing a very aggressive team composition versus Kongdu Monster, who have opted for a lot more like just standard power picks, nothing too surprising out of them. Now, Kongdu Monster do have a lot on their plate here, as they do represent an LCK team just new to LCK, like MC, their coach, was mentioning on stage. There's that burden, because Kespa Cup, at least the 2015 Kespa Cup, was I think one of the biggest upsets that we've seen with ESC ever taking out SKT and going on to win the tournament. This time might just be the day for this KEG Soul team to prove that they are the next round of upsets here in the Kespa Cup. Not too sure what to expect out of them, but at least we've seen Kongdu Monster a lot in LCK, and of course in Challengers Korea, now back in LCK once again. Get to see a whole new Kongdu coming out here against another whole new team in the Korea, in the KEG representatives from Seoul. Looks like we are going to get into our first game of the second series of the night. Get out there, tell your friends to get ready for game number 1, starting right now. All right, Seoul fans in the crowd, and of course, lots of Kongdu fans. They do represent the spiritual successors to Najin, or EM Fire, rather, from way back in the day. But let's go ahead and get things started out here on Summoner's Rift in Game 1 of KEG Soul versus Kongdu Monster. Now, we are seeing a little bit of a non-standard fan here as Hoglet and Khan look to invade this upper tri-brush. Roach sees them, throws out that Time Winder, but takes an axe in return.
Yeah, and they do manage to know that Roach did place his ward down. So no more vision coming out of there. Fortunately, Punch did not try to get any sort of vision against the Olaf early on. And we might actually just see MF and Bard look to disrupt.
Oh, Cougar and Soul waiting in the rush. There's an exhaust already used on the Egoist now. There's Edge coming down there, and a first blood at 1 minute into the game.
That's definitely not what you wanted to have happen, and Edge getting the first blood is pretty big for this matchup. and also the experience, because now Orianna will hit level 2 sooner.
I like the preemptive ghost a little bit. Edge started walking down. He's like, are they really going to? Oh my goodness. And then he goes in, runs over, and is able to stop that. Now, Hoyt is adventuring into the enemy jungle. Does have the ward coverage here, trying to get Soul and Gugur to back off of this Gromp. They're actually taking so much damage from this.
Yeah, this is pretty oh, they're so close to actually getting the reset.
Okay, wow. If that had reset, Gugur might have taken just a little bit too much damage, and I'd say that's a win for KEG Soul.
It is indeed. Jin, unfortunately, is one of the AD carries that can ignore the attempt to stop it because of that 4th shot and the execute. But already, I mean, Kangdu is off to an advantageous start, and as you can see, Soul already has that level 2.
Now, I haven't seen a lot of Misfortune in the AD carry role. How do you think that's going to affect this KEG Soul duo lane?
I'm actually not sure how MF fares against Jin, but definitely already being on the back foot in this matchup can't be too good, and they might look to make something happen.
Oh man, lots of damage there. Soul and Hoyt both dropping down pretty low, but here comes Hoglet down through the river, ghosting in, going for the long game, misses the first axe, might have another try, misses axe number 2. Their Summoner Heal might be looking to turn that one back around. Oh, Hoglet, very low, and will finally go down for not only first but second blood. Gugur very, very low there, but will they be able to punish? No, Gugur is out of there, and here comes Punch. There's an exhaust, a flash away to dodge the cocoon, and trying to escape. There's the flash, and Soul gets the kill with a dancing grenade.
Okay, well, I mean, that whole gank just now was really bizarre because of how long Hoyt held onto his exhaust and his flash. And now, I mean, Hoyt could even actually get dove, depending on if KDM can coordinate this well enough, but it doesn't look like they want to do that. I mean,
Khan up fighting in a pretty decent minion wave there. I didn't mean to cut you off there. It just looks like it was going to be a little bit more aggressive than I thought it was. Yep. Here's a replay.
Here's a replay. So Hoglet was ghosting down mid-river, and this was a very aggressive play, and I think it would have worked had Hoist actually been willing to blow his flash and get the exhaust off.
Or if Hoglet had missed 2 axes.
Or if Hoglet didn't miss 2 axes. I mean, there was a lot of mechanical misplay that came out here from KEG Soul, and I think that Kangdu turned it around almost perfectly, with the exception of missing the cocoon right here, but you can't really blame Punch for that.
Oh, right. Hoist did force a flash there, and Soul knew exactly, or Soul, rather, knew exactly how much damage needed. Bottom lane, we return to yet again another engage onto Egoist, as Hoyt was roaming himself around a little bit. Now, Hoyt, we got a chance to see showcased at the IESF event in Jakarta a little bit earlier on, but his lane buddy there is a little bit, not quite as amateur. He played on the Dark Wolves Challenger team, made it into the Kespa Cup qualifiers, but then was actually disqualified because of a late penalty. So didn't get a chance to show that there. Then he left Dark Wolves and then joined this KEG team as they were preparing for this Kespa Cup tournament. So let's see if that team switch for him was well worth it. Of course, getting back to the game at hand, here comes Punch up towards the top lane. Maybe looking for a dive there, but the wave at the turret evaporates, so not going to go for it this time around.
Yep, and Khan missing a lot of CS actually underneath that turret. He's just under a lot of pressure because of all of the chaos that happened in bottom lane. They really need to make something happen in mid or in top, but it is already problematic because Edge got that first blood.
Definitely, I would say first, second, and third bloods, all pretty problematic. And when it comes to where those kills actually went, heavily represented there on the bottom half of the map. So we'll be keeping an eye on Egoist, who we were just talking about, and Hoyt, as they did pick a very unique duo lane champion combination here. Continuing the fight there, Egoist going to get exhausted, making it rain there on Soul, so he's having to back off and unable to really close the gap there to capitalize on the kill.
Yep. And Bot just looking to extend their pressure, and with Punch coming down.
Oh, Punch just inches away from that pink ward, but doesn't actually check the bush, just wards on the other side, and so he will be spotted out.
Yeah, and he doesn't know right now that he is being spotted.
The sneakiest of wards. Don't worry, next patch you don't even have to worry about pink wards anymore.
Yep. And right now, I mean...
Oh my goodness, Gugur doing the utmost, getting the chain CC on the Egoist. Now Summoner Heal will keep him alive for just a little bit more. Going to try to strut his way away from there. The exhaust keeping the damage away. Is it good enough? The last auto attack from Punch takes him down, and that's the 4th kill for Kangdu Monster.
and this bottom lane is basically all but over. I wouldn't be surprised to actually just say, hey, you know what, we're going to take this bottom tier 1 turret right now. The alternative is to extend the laning phase and let it bleed, but they definitely could get a lot of turret damage down right now if they wanted to. Doesn't look like they want to.
Looks like, wow, lots of Chain Poison and Twin Fangs damage. Push Edge back to his turret. Bo, you can really see starting to maybe exert a little bit of pressure here. Is that normal in the matchup, or is that just Bo playing it well?
It can be a skill matchup. Sometimes Orianna can actually have the advantage over Cassiopeia primarily because of her shield. But I do think that given the CS advantage that he's managed to get so far, I do think he is outplaying Edge in this matchup.
Gotta keep an eye on things. Tiniest of CS discrepancies coming in there, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. The Dark Seal picked up there on Bo. Is that necessarily super standard? I usually only see that on things like Echo top lane.
It could be a testament to his confidence. It could also be like a desperation attempt where they're acknowledging that if they are going to come back into the game, the Dark Seal would help accelerate it, but that seems a little bit of a stretch.
That's that corn salad mentality. But back into the bottom lane. This is where it seems we seem to be seeing most of the action, really punishing that Misfortune pick for Egoist.
Yep. And I mean, the choice by Kongju Monsters actually not to freeze right there is a little bit peculiar because Punch is on the left side of the map and he will be for the foreseeable future. And even though Sol and Guger are going to have the level 6 edge over Egoist and Hoyt, they could have bled them out so much more just by initiating that freeze.
Well, and you can really see right now both Egoist and Hoyt forced back to their turret. They're just sitting there chilling out as the wave eventually will now push into them. But like you said, if it had been frozen, that could have been pretty devastating. Keeping an eye on the rest of the map, and really we haven't seen much of an objective-focused game, just going for all of that craziness level 1 and then also the ganks down towards the bottom half of the map. But it is a Mountain Drake, and so might need to see some extra pressure around there. Punch, okay, he will see this pink ward, so nice to see he's taking the blinders off and will finally be able to limit that vision. Hoglet around the mid lane, mostly just making his way through his jungle camps, but Punch is right there to meet him.
Yep. And now he will discover that he was on a ward.
Well, how long has that been there? Wonder how long. But here comes Hoglet, and Punch, even though he has Guger there for support, is still going to go away. Catching Bo, there's the chain CC once again. Shockwave into a last hit from Punch.
Yep, and that's going to be really bad. And
okay, well, Jin'll trying to continue this fight there. Punch, Edge both coming down from that earlier altercation. Last hit will crit onto Hoyt. An immediate stoppage there. No Misfortune ult for you, Egoist. He is going to be fortunate enough to make it out of there alive. Hoyt not so lucky. Teleports coming in, both channels at the same time. I don't know, Roach, or Khan rather. That is not a place you necessarily want it to be, so he's going to get out of dodge, back to his turret. Punch pretty low here. Hoglet might decide to try to force this issue. Grand Challenge is issued on to Punch to the backline, but Roach just comes forward and knocks Khan down. Hoglet now very low as well. He's going to get dove right here. Roach, will he die? Last hit of the turret will take him down for the first kill of the game, coming back towards the KEG Sol representatives. Big crit comes in from Sol, but it won't be enough to finish off Egoist. And the strong gets stronger as Kongju Monster ace the team fight, but not the team.
This game is already so far out of control, and I can't see a way for KEG Sol to actually come back into this game, primarily due to their team composition. Because when Fiora falls behind, Olaf falls behind, and MF falls behind, they're virtually useless, and it's going to take way too long for them to recuperate. We can just see this now. Hoyt, unfortunately, red buff was on Kongju Monster's side for this team fight as it absorbed the Cosmic Binding, and Hoglet wasn't able to find the damage to execute Edge, although maybe there was some communication issues because they had the teleport coming in from Khan, so if Edge and Punch and maybe even Sol were a little bit lower, even at the cost of Hoglet's death, maybe they could have found some sort of salvage via Khan.
Well, you can see Khan there has some low health targets to maybe try to get his ultimate to give that AoE healing and maybe turn it around, just kind of crafting it out there, but in the end, it's just an incredibly dominant situation for Kongju to be in. Now, Bo's a little bit low there, flashing back to his second tier turret. Roach goes in, ults out. Hoglet ulting just kind of around generally. Egoist caught in between a rock and another rock, and some final hours coming his way. The curtain calls, rather, trying to slow him down. There's Punch. Might not be very long for this world. Oh, Egoist. not a lot of counterplay to that.
Yep, indeed. And now we're having a fight up there on the top lane. So lots of fightings. I mean, we've almost had a kill a minute.
Okay. Well, we kind of might have expected this because KEG Seoul, the less strategic team by far, just saying, hey, if we play this like we play in solo queue, we think we'll be okay. Well, newsflash, this is not solo queue, and you can see even though Kangdoo Monster struggled in that during their time in LCK, they're back after a season in Challenger and at least look much improved.
Yep. And it looked like KG Seoul was actually trying to get that first blood tower for any way back in, like anything they can take, but unfortunately Seoul was able to pick up the bottom tier 1 just before they could secure it.
And, oh, Coglet, okay, making sure he gets at least a little bit there. Actually going to go for the ghost here, but can he run his way away? Exhaust there trying to catch him in that parallel convergence, and they will. Here comes Edge up for the mid lane. Great roam timing, and Kangdoo on top of everything.
Yeah, they are just everywhere, and it doesn't look like KG Seoul know what to do in this scenario, and this could be an issue because maybe they don't have enough experience in a 5 setting or even practicing.
Well, there's the parallel convergence again. It's Cougar. He's just chilling up there, and like you said, maybe an unfamiliar situation for either Khan to be in. Certainly not protecting their jungle, allowing that blue buff steal to go over to Edge, and Bo, he's just chilling in the mid lane.
Yep. And so even though there is a CS discrepancy up there in the top lane, it's really not going to do anything in the face of all the other advantages that Kangdoo have found a way to amass. And it's equally as bad in bottom lane, except Seoul is the one with the CS advantage over Egotist, so that sort of negates itself.
And you kind of think to yourself, well, with the way that this game started out, was that not a harbinger? It certainly seems like there's a little bit of foreshadowing to where we find ourselves now. Only 14 minutes in, and it's not like there's a 10k gold lead just yet. We're certainly getting there, but keeping an eye here now on to Khan. And really, Khan, out of all of the players here on this KEG Seoul roster, I think has probably the most experience. He's been around for quite a while. Now finds Seoul here, looking for the damage. Will issue that grand challenge. Will he be able to find the last proc? No, Cougar right there to try to turn this one around. Khan desperately trying to flash in on to the Kangdoo AD carry. Seoul's got a flash as well. He will escape the aggression there. Khan going down now, trying to find this catch onto Edge, but Edge just using the tried and true gank avoidance method of walking away to avoid Hoglet. There's Cougar coming in for the 2-man knockup. The shockwave right on top. KDM putting the style points on for a double kill on Edge.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, what can KG Seoul really hope to do? I mean, they might get top tier 1 turret, but it's going to come at a cost of potentially both of their mid lane turrets and their bottom tier 2.
Man, Kangdoo need to add an S on the end of Monster because they are all looking so powerful. Great synergy. It really roams from Edge as well. Perfect positioning so far this game. And Cougar, man, he is in there making the plays like you can see right there.
Yeah, this knock-up, and they changed everything so well.
Picasso rolling over in his grave, wishing he painted something as beautiful as that gank. Top lane, Hoyt now. I am the top laner now, and he's there with Egoist as they swap things up, putting Khan on the bottom half of the map. I was trying to talk about Khan and all of his LSPL experience, but not going to be able to totally satisfy that. He does have a lot of that experience, but bringing that experience to this relatively new together team, this team less than a month old in this current iteration of the roster, and you can really see how that impacts them versus a team like Kangdoo.
Yep. And at this point, Kangdoo Monster is just doing a very standard rotation where they're going to keep their jungler on the left side of the map with the support and AD carry, and they're going to send Roach to the bottom lane because he has that teleport up, and they're just going to continuously look to rotate and just take all the objectives that exist, and I think they're going to take it a little bit patient until maybe the next Dragon or Baron's on the field, and the next Dragon is going to be an Inferno, and that is very big for them.
Okay, strong Dragon, maybe a comeback opportunity. I mean, Olaf, aside from just running in, not necessarily the greatest smite-stealing champion. We might see him try for it, but for Kangdoo, it looks like instead of sitting back and staying passive, they will make their way up towards the top half of the map, scout it out, and now it looks like Looks like they might be backing off for now. A reminder that the Dragon timer up in the top left hand of the screen only shows the Inferno Drake, so not necessarily Inferno. We'll get a chance to sweep by the Dragon area and see exactly what it is here in a second, hopefully. It's Guger and Hoyt battle over the pink wards.
Yeah, and it looks like Guger is the victor.
No, he's the Alistar, LS. What are you talking about?
Oh.
We had Victor in our last game. But as far as lanes go, or victors or winners, Khan doesn't seem like he's been winning a whole lot this game. I'm interested to see, because we don't see a lot of Fioras. Okay, well, Punch is going to get caught out here. Try and juke away the poison landing. Shield coming in there. Edge with a save onto his jungler. There's the Tempered Fate. But even Guger is trying to save him. KG Soul trying desperately to find their second kill this game, but they will be denied. There's a big MF ult right on top of everything. Okay, all right, the turnaround. They're going to find not one, but three. And all right, it works out. Okay. Oh, ye of little faith.
Well, this is actually so big because this means they're going to get the Dragon. They're going to get mid lane tier 1 turret, and that might have just actually pole vaulted them potentially back into the game.
I mean, it's not over yet, but we'll keep an eye on things. Not a lot of minions here, and Roach just knowing if he can hang on here, KG Soul might be forced to tank that turn a little bit too long. Hoglet almost dead, and that means that with a very low health jungler, probably this Dragon not necessarily in their sights, though pings are still going on it. Yeah,
it is a Mountain Drake. That is something they would definitely like to pick up, but unfortunately, they took way too much damage trying to get that tier 1 turret, and looks like that's also going to cost them Dragon. And here
Teleport coming in. Like you said, yeah, Roach down here. Now, I don't know about going too aggressively in there, or Hoglet. Yeah, not the bush you were looking to face check. And now Bo. Oh, Bo. Khan's having a ball, having a good time at the top lane, but Bo is the one that's going to get stopped right now, and he is out of there.
Yep. So that will be a second Mountain Drake for Kongbu Monsters. So the ability to just annihilate Baron is a very real thing for them right now. So any slip up by KAG Soul is probably going to spell lights out as soon as Baron's on the map in 30 seconds.
There's a takedown by Punch, securing the second Mountain Drake for the 15-4 Kongbu Monster, who are, you know, like you said, just when you name yourself Monster, like that's one of the names, like you name yourself like the ex-Spenu Korea jungler Flawless. Like, if you name yourself that, you better live up to it. And they're certainly living up to their name here tonight. I imagine Coach MC is pretty happy with his team right about now, but it's a best-of-3 series, so you can't give up just yet. There's more games to be played, and a lot of lessons maybe to learn here for the KEG Soul team, who, like they said earlier, are less practiced with this team-based play.
Yep. And, I mean, at this point, it's just going to be basically posturing around Baron. Kongbu Monsters is still in the driver's seat, but if KAG Soul can find some sort of a miracle engagement and delete someone from the start of the fight before it occurs, there's a very real possibility they could actually win the fight.
Well, absolutely, and we already saw one of those kind of miracle engagements there in the mid lane. 3 kills, almost that mid lane turret, almost transitioning into Dragon, but none of those happened. So, more miracle engages. Are they out there?
We shall see.
I know. That's why we got to watch these games. That's what's important about tournaments like these, is that they do give opportunities for teams from Challengers Korea, from KEG Amateur Tournament to come out and play here today. In case you guys are unfamiliar with what KEG is, I'll just kind of reiterate that quickly. It's a national amateur tournament here in Seoul. It's kind of to promote players playing in like Pichibangs in their the different regions. So we've got 2 representatives, the first and second place teams playing in here. It's Seoul, and then we'll get a chance to see Chungnam play a little bit later on.
And there's the Jhin ultimate being used preemptively, and this is just to dissuade KEG Soul from trying to defend this turret.
Hoglet's up there. Iku is coming in from behind. I was expecting to see Khan maybe start channeling a teleport behind, but such a good job clearing out wards on the flanks, KDM don't have anything to worry about.
Yep. Now they're going to recall, and we see another Chain Vest picked up for Roach just now, so that's probably going to be looking to complete a Sunfire Cape in the next few moments here.
And stacking on all the armor, knows that, I mean, he's going to win the 1 versus Khan, Hoglet, Egoist, like not a lot to worry about.
Yep.
Maybe Bo gets onto him and there's no magic resistance and he actually just kills him, but I don't know, that seems like an optimistic perspective.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty difficult for KG Soul to find a way back into the game, but if they do, they have the damage to do it inside of that Misfortune and that cash.
Oh, Googer can't get out of of being grounded. Now finally he is out and will be able to get away. That's an ult forced out and a weakened support.
That ult will come up a little soon. Not too long of a cooldown, and it's not like anything's going to happen in the next few moments, so it's not the end of the world. Khan and Bro, that's a very good trade for Khan. Actually.
Wow, yeah, he's actually winning those trades pretty hard. I would have expected, especially with all that armor on Roach, that he'd be having a little bit of a rough time, but wow, Khan really hitting all of those vital procs. Roach trying to protect it off towards the side. Khan, Roach, very, very narrowly engaged. It looks like Khan might be trying to turn it back around into ult defensively there by Roach, trying to get the Time Winder in onto Khan. Khan just completely out of mana and he's forced to flash away. Oh my goodness, let's get my blood pressure going. Shockwave swing and a miss on that sombrero. Not going to find anything there, but Hoglet definitely against the rock and hard place. Bo getting locked down there. Googer might be able to get in onto him. There's the exhaust, slowing him down there. Hoyt and Egoist there to dissuade.
Yep, and they might start Baron. I think they could. With double Mountain Drake, I'm pretty sure they could actually start Baron as long as they clear out all the vision around it and keep KG Soul in a guessing game of whether or not it's happening or not.
Really kind of interested to see what's to be made of the game in the position that it is. Almost the 10,000 gold lead here, pre-25 minutes. I mean, Khan's certainly not afraid to keep that aggression on the bottom lane and playing that matchup very immaculately, but I don't know, maybe a little bit too little too late as a 0-6 Hoglet will not be leading his team to objective victories just yet.
Yeah, and the other problem for Hoglet is that he has no armor, so that Jhin is hitting him so hard.
Here we go, back in the 1v1, Roach and Khan. Here comes the grand challenge, trying to escape there, but Khan looks like he might just have it. Roach's number slowed down by the Time Winder. He gets the 1v1, solo kill for Khan. Okay, all right, that's what we're looking for. Putting all that LSPL experience to use.
That is actually so big for KG Soul right now because it gives them a little bit of breathing room, and it's also going to probably equate to them getting out of the tower, but I think that they misread the situation and that Kongu Monsters can't actually defend that tier 1 bottom turret. So a little bit of a missed opportunity right there, but nonetheless, it's still a pretty big victory. You could see also that Roach actually elected not to use his flash, which he could have used to live, but I think he recognizes that it's a lot more important to have that for Dragon or Baron.
Trying to turn that into an advantage later on, even though it did mean his death there. Yeah, he definitely could have flashed away there to save his life. Now, oh, a nice longest range Cosmic Binding there. But here comes the curtain call. Hoyt trying to get to the magical journey, and he will escape alive. Gage on the Hoglet, he's down to half HP. Let's take magical journey up his own way. Blue buff stolen onto Edge. So KDM, there are a way safe and sound out of the jungle. I'm only saying that somewhat ironically because it's actually the KSL team now. Okay, this time it's round 2. It's a red buff onto Khan. Could definitely turn this matchup into his favor. And yeah, all that true damage really coming into play. There's the grand challenge, trying to catch out Roach. He does dodge there, dipping, diving behind the turret. Khan gets him twice.
Well, a little bit of the solo queue star is shining right now. And he's
oh, the teleport,
away.
And oh my god, he's not going to get stopped in time. Can't be stopped, and Khan is out of there. Okay. Really loving what I'm seeing here from Khan, and Fiora, not a champion we get a chance to see showcase, but Khan masterclass on that.
Yeah, that is actually a very professional and impressive performance on the Fiora so far, and if there's a champion that can keep them in the game, it will actually be a 4 or 5 item Fiora.
Impressive to see that Fiora dominance, especially against Roach, who's itemizing nothing but armor at this point. And granted, there's mostly true damage there, and none of the, well, actually only one of the armor items there on Roach giving him extra HP. So that's a matchup that Khan, if he can keep winning it, like you said, might just turn that around for KEG Soul on the split push.
Yep. Right now, though, Kongu Monsters with their 3rd Mountain Drake of the game and teleport advantage means that Khan is going to have to keep himself around the top half of the map. Otherwise, they risk potentially surrendering Baron. And here's a quick little replay. And because of the red buff, that's why this actually all can happen. And he reads the parallel convergence perfectly, and he doesn't overextend because he knows that Echo still has his ultimate, and unfortunately, Jin was not able to save him, and Khan was able to pick up the kill.
Khan really kind of pulling his team back maybe just a little bit. Seoul in a better spot than they were at the beginning of this game, but with triple Mountain Drake for Kongdu, I mean, they can actually just walk up to Baron, especially with high damage like Jin. That is not going to be a happy time to be a giant purple worm.
I would be surprised if Baron actually lived longer than like 8 seconds at this point in the game.
All right, well, here goes Khan again, this time on to Roach with some help. Will this be enough to turn it out? Khan is just running away for his life, trying to turn it back around. Roach will ult defensively, and the shutdown. Khan not able to find the 1v3 escape. Not Faker.
Not Faker, unfortunately. And I think he was doing a fantastic job of trying to draw attention to him and pull them away from Baron, but with his death and no teleport on him, probably means this Baron is going over unless Hoglet finds a miracle.
I mean, Hoglet, you gotta get in there. There's the Tempered Fate. Hoglet going in. He's gonna get already a kill there onto Roach. Looks like Hero Orianna Edge will actually claim that Baron, but can KEG Seoul turn things back around? Looks like the answer is sadly not going to be the case. Edge and Roach do go down there, so in the end it's a 2-for-4 exchange. As long as Hoyt gets away there. A 3-for-4 actually. Oh, okay.
Had they actually had Khan and had Egoist actually use his flash and Summoner heal, I wonder if they could have turned that fight better.
I mean, Khan definitely could have been a very, very powerful force to have there. Unfortunately, he did go down, which prompted Kongdu to head up there to Baron. Let's take another look at exactly how this transpired.
Yeah, so Guger knocks away Hoglet, but the Bard ultimate comes in to give him a chance to get back into the pit. Unfortunately, he couldn't make the distance to get into smite range. BBO flashes the wall to kill Edge, but it's only a one-man ultimate. And at that point, I mean, Edge going down doesn't really mean that they can turn the fight, and Seoul was just able to clean it up.
Yeah, it depends on which Seoul you're talking about there. I'm trying to work on my pronunciation so it's not Seoul and Seoul, but it sounds pretty similar, so apologies there. Either way, the Jin, 3-1 and 10 now. That rapid fire cannon complete to allow him just a little bit of extra range to reach out and touch someone. But now we get a chance to see Khan up on his lonesome, where he does thrive. Guger gonna change that.
Yep, and they move into top lane because it looks like they want to move into a 4-0-1 or even a 3-1-1 temporarily, given that KEG Seoul's mid-tier 2 turret is still alive. So that is a possibility for Edge to look to pick up, because it's not like KEG Seoul has the ability to just have 1 or 2 people pick off Edge if he was isolated in the mid lane. And so as they advance forward, it looks like they're just going to pick up the blue buff again and steal it away. And it's going to be interesting to see how they try to transition this.
Oh, Roach walking into a deep dark forest, trying to ult to save his life, but that's not going to be enough, and Bull will take him out. Nice to see KEG Seoul on their punish game, not just going to give things away for free, ready to punish where the opportunity presents itself, and that only means they are being doubled up in kills now. Big push on the top lane, though. These Baron-powered minions here going for the dive as Guger gets in there. Curtain Call coming down there, stopped there by the Tempered Fate. Teleport in from behind. That's going to be a big vacant raid onto everything. There goes Khan. He's going to get the first kill of this fight now. Alistar ultimate should actually be running out here pretty soon there. KEG Seoul finding 1. They're going to find 2. And with Roach still dead there, Edge and Punch on the run. A nice turnaround there with that. I don't think Edge is going to die just yet.
Yeah, that was almost going to be a perfect ace for KEG Seoul, and that's what I was talking about, where they have the damage if they can find the angles in. Yes, Roach was absent in that fight, but you see exactly what can happen because of that Fiora and because of the misfortune damage that, honestly, Kongdu monsters are not itemized to really handle.
I was worried that Edge's Shockwave turnaround was going to maybe be the miracle escape and really turn that back around, but what actually goes so right here for KEG? Basically,
I think Kongdu monsters overestimated their ability to just try to maybe win a 4v5, and they didn't respect the teleport from Khan. So when Jin starts his ultimate, it enables Hoyt to just throw the ulti onto him and give Khan enough room to get into position, and from there, Egoist is just able to basically shred everyone's HP low enough for Khan to basically go in and get in there safely and execute people.
And so now we start to get into Scary Town, where KEG Soul are starting to maybe win a few of these fights. Khan is actually starting to get to that point where certainly Roach can't deal with him in the one-on-one. He's a flame horizon to his Kongdu Monster lane opponent. So that's just actually incredible to see. And now with Cloud Drake being taken to here, this will be the 4th dragon of the game, killed incredibly quickly by those triple mountain drakes for Kongdu Monster. But is there a glimmer of light, a silver lining to this cloud for KEG Soul?
I really think there is, because Cassiopeia is going to hit a power spike pretty soon. That Tear of the Goddess is going to be transformed, and that's a lot of HP also added to the team fights when you factor in Seraph's Embrace is active. And Fiora is approaching that point where, you know, she is able to go 1v5. So Kongdu Monsters is actually kind of on a clock right now to make something happen, which is really surprising because they got every advantage you could ever ask for as a team, and they couldn't macro their way to a victory.
Yeah, almost 2,000 gold deficit on that Baron anti-power play. And like you said, they had 3 dragons, they had Baron buff, and over that 3.5 minute period, they lost almost 2,000 gold. So KEG Soul, I don't know if this is like strength under adversity. KEG Soul are like a non-Newtonian liquid. The more pressure, the faster it comes at you, the stronger you are. So I don't know, that's your science lesson analogy for the day, I guess. But KEG Soul certainly not giving up without a fight.
Yep, and it just doesn't look like Kongdu Monsters knows how to actually move around the map. If we're just seeing them and what they're doing for the last few moments, they had Baron, they didn't know what to do with it, and they haven't gained anything in almost 10 minutes now. So, I mean, if this keeps happening and they just do it over and over, KEG Soul is going to probably win the team fight.
And if you look down to the bottom lane, here is Khan, and Roach knows he actually just can't touch him. So that's power for KESL that's going to be turned into an objective there. Now top lane, nice Misfortune ult just used to clear a gigantic wave, and that'll save the tower.
Yep.
All right, so some unconventional desires definitely there. And now Khan even pursuing behind the turret. Oh, okay, he's feeling himself a little bit maybe, but now turning back around to try to push Roach away from his turret. Oh, back up towards the mid lane. Hoglet caught out once again. That is a very low CDR, or low cooldown Olaf ultimate. He's going to Ragnarok his way to safety once again. And now Khan continuing the push, and Roach just completely inept at stopping him.
Oh my. It's almost like they can't do anything to him. And, I mean, they're going to pick up this tier 2 mid lane turret right now, but that doesn't do anything because they don't have an answer to Khan.
No, it's certainly not. With 3 turrets down in that bottom second tier, pretty low at this point. I mean, Khan could just walk down there again, and really Kongdu, it seems like they're leaving Roach out to dry, but oh Hoyt, no, don't walk into the Dark Woods. Oh no, it's a dead Bard. No Bards for the Bard God this time around. He is out of there, and with Baron is spawning right now, that is somewhat unfortunate timing. Now, no Hoglet. Okay. Let's have a conversation here. Oh, ward over the wall. All right. So he's going to see that, but he doesn't have his Olaf ultimate. It's not a short enough cooldown. And now Egoist. Okay. Egoist is safe for now. And it does look like blue buff will go over to Bull, but here's that Baron under the power of triple Mountain Drake.
Yeah, and that Baron did not live long at all. I don't even think they actually needed to call in Roach to teleport. I think that was actually probably a bad call because now they don't have teleport. And you see Khan running straight up mid lane. When you can't deny the Baron, one of the good things that you can do is attack it indirectly, and one way you can do that is by eliminating the minions. 120 CS advantage here for Khan, completely ignoring Roach. Now, he does have to make sure he has minions there, and with Baron buff minions pushing away, that'll take a while. And especially now with no Misfortune ultimate there to clear a Baron buff empowered wave, that is not going to be the situation that saves that turret. Now, recalls coming in from KDM. These are empowered by Baron, so they'll be able to get back to base, back to defend this mid turret, so push ineffective from Khan. Yep. And I think, though, that he did his job because he didn't give them a way to just immediately move into mid lane and continue their Baron siege. Elder Dragon, though, coming up in just under 2 minutes here, and I feel like that'll be the decisive fight. I don't believe Kongdu Monsters will have the Baron buff persist through that, so they will lose some stats. And there's still a chance for KEG Soul to still win this, assuming nothing happens until then.
Well, here comes the curtain call, pushing Bull back. saving that the last few shots there. Soul get a little bit of cooldown refunded there, but look at those mounts. My goodness. Turret gets completely destroyed. Not the shockwave you're looking for there, Edge. Just doesn't catch anyone, and now KEG might have an opportunity to catch Kongdu on the retreat. Hoglet ghosting in, but unable to find a catch just yet. Khan poking. This is actually really tense as Kongdu tried to disengage safely.
Yeah. And even though it looks like they're trying to poke a bear right now, I really do have to hand it to Khan because he's single-handedly keeping them in this game going 1v9. I mean, at multiple points, Hoglet and Hoyt, not even factoring in Egoist early on, dying so many times, have made it so difficult for him, and he's brought them back to the brink of death.
And now, not even talking about Khan, who's had some impressive 1v1s, but Bo, 6-4 and 2, completed Seraph's Embrace, 4 items, almost 4.5, 6 stacks on what could turn into a Medjai's. I mean, that's an insane amount of ability power that, if used correctly, could definitely be the big damage that the KEG Soul is looking for. Now, Baron about to expire in 1 minute, so if they can withstand this push in onto their inhibitor, this is where Kongdu, or where KEG Soul really need to hold. There's a curtain call on the Bo, poking him down just a little bit there. Ego, oh, wow, where was Ego as he was on an adventure there, and he is going to get taken down, and along with it, this inhibitor, possibly the game. Kongdu looked to push. It's a 5-on-4 deep underneath these Nexus turrets, and with so many Mountain Drakes, it's just not going to stop them there. Khan off towards the back, does get a nice riposte to stay alive. Hoglet's still alive there as well, going to Ragnarok around the turrets. It's one turret down, the next turret maybe to fall, miss on the shockwave again, and Kongdu have run out of minions to tank these turrets.
Yeah, and oh, Hoglet does not go down. Khan is back off the fountain. Baron buff still persisting.
Oh, and this might be just the push. Khan will escape with yet another nice riposte. Hoyt very, very low, but it's the Nexus that's the target. And after a long, hard-fought 40-minute game, Kongdu Monster will double up their opponents and win a 25-13 score and take game number 1 against KEG Soul.
That game was so bittersweet for me because I felt so bad for Khan because it almost seemed like his team was trying to lose it for him, and then he would bring it back again, and then they would do something else again. I feel really, really bad.
Oh, well, still impressive showing, at least in the solo queue aspect. Individual talent heavily rewarded there. And very evident for KEG Soul. So there is an alternate universe out there, LS, where that game ended differently, and KEG Soul are coming into the next game 1-0. But that is not the universe we live in. We live in the universe where Hoglet went 0-9 and 7, and of course Hoyt 0-3 and 6. So some score lines are going to need to be improved when we come into our next match.
Yeah, and I mean, Kongdu Monsters, they got a lot of advantages. They got everything they ever could have asked for, and it still took them a while to close out the game. So while they had a very impressive early and mid-game, a lot of that was via KEG Soul faltering and having mechanical missteps. We saw Bo have a very impressive performance, and he played phenomenal in the mid lane, and we also saw that there might be a very big discrepancy between the top laners.
Could definitely see that. We'll find out when we get back from a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Game number 2 coming up.